Hello, my name's Richard Scott and today I'm going to talk about one of my favourite films, E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial.
E.T. phone home.
Oh, God!
Elliot. Only little kids can see it. Give me a break.
To the forest!
E.T. was directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Melissa Matheson, and it's the story of a lonely boy called Elliot who befriends an odd, ugly, but totally lovable space creature which he calls E.T.
Are you okay? Too much excitement, huh? Want a Coke?
The alien has become stranded on Earth after his spaceship took off, leaving him behind, and now it's up to Elliot and his siblings to try and get E.T. back home before US government agents can track him down.
Now I wish I would have listened in science.
E.T. was released on the 11th of June 1982, and it was a huge critical and box office success, selling over 120 million tickets in the US alone on its initial cinema run.
Kind of movie that makes movie critics the way you were just talking. I talk the same way. It makes your heart beat a little faster. It brings a tear to your eye. When I saw this movie, I felt the way that I'm sure people felt when they saw Wizard of Oz for the first time.
The genre of E.T. is clearly science fiction. It's got aliens, it's got spaceships, it's got a mysterious government agency, and it uses cutting-edge special effects for the time. That said, it also does a great job of being a family drama.
All we're trying to say is maybe you just probably imagined it.
I couldn't have imagined it.
Maybe it was a pervert or deformed kid or
A
something.
deformed kid.
Maybe an elf or a leprechaun.
It was nothing like that, penis breath!
Elliot!
The film plays out in the aftermath of Elliot's parents' divorce, and although it's never made explicit, Elliot's malaise appears to be related to the breakdown of the family unit and the loss of his father.
Maybe you ought to call your father and tell him about it.
I can't. He's in Mexico with Sally.
Henry Thomas, who plays Elliot in the lead role, is fantastic. He's very naturalistic in a way that kid actors often aren't, but he's also accomplished enough to make you believe that he believes that E.T. is a real living creature. Likewise, Drew Barrymore and Robert McNaughton, who play Elliot's brother and sister, Gertie and Michael, are superb in their roles. With regards to the adult actors, Dee Wallace-Stone plays Mary, who's the matriarch of this family, and Peter Coyote plays this sort of a government scientist who's referred to as Keys. I really like both of these characters, and one of the reasons that I feel E.T. is still engaging as an adult is that both these characters, Mary and Keys, are still a little bit childlike. We see Mary struggling to cope with the fallout from her divorce.
What's the matter, Mom?
It's Mexico.
And on the other hand, we see Keys, who we're introduced to early on in the film, and he's somewhat sinister. But as the movie progresses, we actually begin to get to know him a little bit, and we see that he's actually just a man in search of some elusive dream that he had as a child.
He came to me.
Elliot, he came to me too. I've been wishing for this since I was 10 years old. I don't want him to die.
All of this, of course, would fall apart if the film didn't have a great visual effects. And luckily, the character design by Carlo Rambaldi and Ed Veroux has turned out pretty well. There are scenes where E.T. looks his age, but on the whole, this is a practical effect that holds up much better than many computer-generated effects that aren't even half its age.
Elliot, look what I made for you!
Now, E.T. was actually brought to life by a range of practical effects. There was wire puppetry, which worked the face and the emotions. There was a mimes who operated E.T.'s hands so he could pick things up. And then there was also people in costumes who would do any of the scenes where E.T. actually had to walk or run around. I think overall it took about 12 people to bring the character to life. E.T. is perhaps Steven Spielberg's most Spielbergian film, and a lot of his famous themes are right here. We've got childlike wonder, extraterrestrial life, tensions between parents and their children, and an absent father figure. These are all themes that Steven Spielberg is very famous for, and like I say, you can find them all inside E.T. While it's hard to say definitively that E.T. is Steven Spielberg's best work, he's made a lot of good films, it is perhaps possible to say that it is his most personal film. Steven Spielberg clearly loves the character of E.T., and the result is that all the great director's strengths and perceived weaknesses are contained within this film in spades. This is a film that is inventive, filled with humour, and at times totally relatable. But on the other hand, it does also run the risk occasionally of being referred to as syrupy sentimentality. There's a couple of scenes where Spielberg really does push the boat out on that front and give in to those impulses that most people know he has. But I think for the whole, the film survives those occasional encounters. The film's backbone is provided by long-term Steven Spielberg collaborator John Williams. So good is Williams at evoking through music the same emotive chords that Spielberg conjures through pictures. At times it appears Williams and Spielberg share the same psychic connection as Elliot and E.T. I'm going to stop short of saying that E.T. is a film for everyone. I loved it as a child, I love it as an adult, but I do remember watching it during my teenage years and being quite dismissive of it. This is not a film that can really survive a cynical dissection. Much like Peter Pan, which is one of the film's chief inspirations, the movie requires a willing suspension of disbelief from its audience in order to take flight. If you can do that, you'll be rewarded with a humorous, adventurous, and touching experience. Now, the word that I've tried not to use throughout this film review is magic, but it also happens to be the word that is most fitting to describe this near 40-year-old film. Time will date its effects, more exciting adventures will be had, but whether it was Melissa Matheson's original script, Steven Spielberg's need to believe in the character, or just the collaboration of various people working at the height of their powers, it can at times feel like the E.T. film print was soaked from its first frame to its very last in pure movie magic. I'm Richard, thanks for watching, and be good.